Welcome back to GA Fan TV. Dublin 1-11, Kildare 13 points. Dublin start Division 2 with a victory. They start Division 2 on the right track with the 2 points. The performance was very poor, very, very poor, very lethargic, very sloppy. The shooting accuracy was absolutely dreadful. And mark my words, if Dublin play like that for the majority of Division 2, we will not get out of Division 2. You know, that goes without question. It was very, very sloppy and very, very poor. I think the main thing to take away is the result. And I think, look, as I was saying in the live watch along about 10 minutes ago, like the main thing was to get the victory here. The main thing was to get the win. The performance, you know, it will improve. It will get better. There's other players to come back in. There's Jack McCaffrey. There's Paul Mannion. You know, Con O'Callaghan, you could see in this game, quite rusty. Like, obviously didn't feature in the league last year. Only featured in the Leinster Championship. You know, barely feature, you know, didn't even feature in the All-Ireland Championship, you know, in the quarterfinals or semi-finals. You could see there was lethargicness there in terms of rustiness, in terms of shooting. You could see with some of the other Dublin players as well, the shooting boots just weren't quite there. And, you know, with Dublin in the O'Byrne Cup, they normally play a development team. So a lot of these players, like, probably wouldn't have played since before Christmas in the Dublin Club Football Championship, you know, to be perfectly honest with you. So you could clearly see there was a lethargicness, build-up play just wasn't quite there, and we just looked miles off it. And what I would say is Kildare, massive missed opportunity, a huge chance for Kildare to get their first victory at Croke Park since 2000, and they didn't take it. They did not take it. It was there for them in that second half. Even at times in the first half, they kept possession for far too long. They were comfortable, and it was fairly easy for them in terms of keeping possession. Dublin weren't really challenging them, but there was an opportunity there for Kildare. And look, if you're a Kildare fan, you're probably looking at it and thinking we were very competitive with Dublin. We played quite well. We were physically, we matched them. Midfield, I thought Kildare were probably better. I mean, Brian Fenton won man of the match, and fair enough, he probably was Dublin's best player. He got the goal, but I thought Jack Robinson should have won man of the match, one of the Kildare forwards. I thought he was absolutely fantastic, and don't know a lot about him, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know if he's come up from the under-20s or he's a club player. Forgive me for not having that much amount of knowledge in Kildare football, but he looked very, very bright. He was very, very positive. Couple of times in the second half, he overcarried the ball and lost the ball in turnovers. But you can see there's a player there. And I think from a Kildare perspective, you're very excited about that. But generally speaking, like, there was an opportunity there. And I think from a Kildare perspective, you look at it and think we were very competitive in Croke Park. But Dublin were terrible, you know, and Dublin won't play as poor as that in the Leinster Championship when Dublin play Kildare again. And if they play each other, let's say in an All-Ireland quarter-final or group stages or anything like that, Dublin won't be as bad as that, you know, and it's a huge opportunity missed from a Kildare perspective to get the points and to get a victory. And, you know, the victory would have been big in terms of the Division 2 table because it would have, you know, sent Dublin bottom of Division 2, but it also would have, you know, it's 2 points. It's a 4-point swing there in many ways. And, you know, Dublin are on the back foot, Kildare then in the driving seat for promotion, because I think we can all go without saying, with that kind of performance from a Dublin perspective, Derry are the front runners. They beat Limerick today by 12 points. Looked very, very good. And, you know, but look, I mean, at the same time, it is the opening day of the league. You know, we haven't lost. We have won. And I think that's the main thing. And I do think Kildare will be one of the better teams that we play in Division 2. You're looking at it and thinking next week we go away to Limerick. Should be winning that comfortably. No excuses. Cork away will be tough, you know, and Cork are in good form at the moment, and that will be a tough game. But there's a lot of improvement needed. I've seen at one stage on TG Cahir, a graphic popped up out of 26 scoring chances, we'd convert 11. I think maybe in total we probably create like 30 scoring chances, and I'd say we probably convert like 13 or 14. 50% accuracy isn't going to win you All Irelands, and if Dublin are the closest challengers to Kerry, there's a long, long way to go. But we've seen it in the past. Look, we've seen teams in the past in the league be poor and go on and win the All Ireland. Tyrone a couple of years ago. Dublin have generally been slow starters in the league under Desi. That generally has been a thing. It was a thing last year. It was a thing a couple of years ago. I think the difference in this performance maybe and the Dublin at the start of the league last year was that the want was there. The effort was there. Like Dublin were trying. They were trying to make things happen. Last year at times it was too many lateral hand passes, slow build up, not much urgency, not taking enough risks. Today, there was a lot of that. We were taking risks. We were taking chances. It was just our shooting let us down. If our shooting had been 25% better than what it was, we would have won this by 6 or 7 points. So it's just a matter of shooting. And we have the players there that can shoot better than what we did. I mean, Noel Scully missed 1 or 2 opportunities. Con O'Callaghan in the first half missed a couple of chances. Kieran Kilkenny was very quiet. I mean, he was playing a full forward. I prefer him to play in the half forward line because he's the man that sort of ticks it all together. And he's better, shooting from distance. Whereas having him in that full forward position, I felt like he didn't really offer as much, to be perfectly honest. And some of the other players who came in, like Greg McEnany, looked fairly lively at times, but didn't really offer enough. A few of the substitutes, like Con Pascal, didn't really, shoot the lights out, to be honest. So there's definitely a lot to work on from a Dublin perspective. It was interesting in the first half to see how defensive we were. Like, at one stage, I think we had nearly every man inside around 45. And considering how poor we were defensively last year, you could see some of the issues there with Dublin and how open they were and how exposed they were. You can see that Dublin done a lot of work on that defensively. And whether it's Pat Gilroy who's come in or other defensive coaches, I'm not entirely sure. But a lot better defensively organised. I remember 1 goal chance for Kildare where he hit the post. I can't remember who it was. But other than that, there was no other goal chances. And they were just very, very well set up and hard to beat. And that's a good thing. But at the same time, you would say you're playing Kildare, with all due respect. Kildare aren't one of the top 3, top 4, top 5 teams in the country. You should be going out, playing on the front foot, trying to beat them, trying to get in behind. Look at what we did when we did get at them and Brian Fenton gets that goal. So definitely a little bit strange. It almost reminded me a bit of when Kerry played Cork in the Championship a couple of years ago, set up very defensively against Cork, who are not, who Kerry would normally get after, get attack on the front foot, but they were preparing for something further down the line. And that was the impression I got here with Dublin, was that we were being, every man inside his own 45, being super defensive because of the fact that that's the approach maybe when we play Kerry later in the year. But as we've seen with Kerry 2 years ago, you can't jump too far ahead because you could end up getting caught. And easily, if Kildare had been a little bit more clinical, they could have won this game. They really, really could have. Plenty of comments flying in there, so much appreciated. On Far says, couldn't tune in for the watch along. Apologies, it was on the GA go. Thought the Dubs looked very sloppy, but it's fairly early days. A win's a win. And that's the most important thing. A win is a win, and there will be better performances. They will improve, but there's a lot to work on. There is a lot to work on. The worrying thing is we probably won't learn a lot against Limerick next week. We'll probably beat them comfortably enough. We should beat them comfortably enough, let's be honest. Do we learn a lot against Cork? Do we learn, until we play Derry? That's kind of the worry. Rory says, I wouldn't worry yet. Still got McCaffrey and Mannion to come back in. When's the last time Dublin had 34 possession in a half of a game? Yeah, it was bizarre, really. It was bizarre in the first half. But Kildare kept the ball for long periods of time without doing that. And that's why I think it was a missed opportunity for Kildare, because in the first half, they didn't take enough risk. In the second half, they did. But at the same time, they just let themselves down. And it reminded me a bit of when Kildare played Mayo in Croke Park in the qualifiers last year. There was a chance for them to win that game, and they just couldn't take it. And I think that's what's lacking with this Kildare team. You can see physically very, very strong in and around the middle. Some very good forwards in Dara Kirwan, Jimmy Hoyland, obviously now Jack Robinson who's come in. You still have Daniel Flynn to come back in. So you can see there's a team there, but they're just lacking that bit of killer instinct, I think, that the top teams have. Any thoughts on the ref? I could see he was trying to be consistent, but was card happy, if you ask me. Yeah, I think did he book one of the Kildare cornerbacks in the final couple of minutes? Seemed a little bit strange. He definitely gave out a lot of yellow cards, and there was a few soft frees. I remember, probably to be fair, there was a few times he was actually unfair on Kildare. I felt there was a few decisions I thought, there's one instance I think where I can't remember, one of the Kildare players was carrying the ball. I think he called it over carrying or something when there was a clear foul, but no major decisions wrong from the referee, to be fair. Gavin says Roscommon, Galway and Derry was a good race last year. This year Division 2 could even be more tight. It could be, and Kildare can take positives from the game, definitely, with the fact that they competed so well with Dublin, but they definitely at the same time can look back and think there was opportunities missed there was chances missed, and if they had been a bit more clinical in front of goal, I think they would have won the game, to be honest with you. I really, really do. Even that last chance from the 45 from Neil Flynn, like if he goes for the point in the end, I think, but they should have tried something to get the goal there. They should have. There was a chance there. There was a chance there for Kildare, but there are positives to take from a Kildare perspective at the same time, and from a Dublin perspective, disappointing with the performance, but the most important thing was the result. And you'd argue Derry are a better side than Kildare in Division 2. Cork maybe, but other than that, there's not going to be another tougher game than Kildare, other than them two teams, in my opinion, in this division anyway. But certainly a lot to work on, because even the likes of Clare, Meath, they'll fancy their chances with how Dublin performed there, and there's a lot to work on, because it's so important that Dublin do get out of Division 2, given the younger players that are going through, given the bit of transition that's going on, because you need to be back in Division 1 to have competitive games, to play the best teams. So a lot to work on, but most important thing is the result. Up the Dubs, all the rest. Fair play to Kildare. Look, they gave a very, very good performance. Physically looked very strong, and defensively a lot of improvements from last year. And I fully expect them to be in the race for Division 2 and getting out of Division 2. And the big thing is for Kildare now, can they keep that consistency? And can they win? If they play Dublin and Leinster this year, which I think it could be a Leinster semi-final, they need to show that level of performance and actually improve on it, because Dublin will improve on it significantly, and Kildare just need to be have a bit more killer instinct and maybe back themselves a little bit more, in my opinion. Bulk and Guy, the Dubs, still missing 3 or 4 key players. Wouldn't look too much into it. Yeah, that's exactly the point. There's still a few players, still a lot of players missing, like Manny and McCaffrey. The two main ones. James McCarthy, obviously Dean Rock didn't start. You wouldn't expect Dean Rock to start, to be fair. David O'Hanlon started in goal, so you'd expect Evan Comerford to come back in. And probably a few Kilmacud Croaks lads like Darragh Mullen, maybe a Dan O'Brien or something like that will come back into the side. But look, all in all, the result was the most important thing. We got that in the end. So cheers anyone who tuned in. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Dublin start Division 2 with the victory, and bring on Limerick.